I don't even know if it's possible to just keep getting more and more excited about these episodes, but that's where I'm at. One, I've realized podcasting is like the greatest thing in the world, minus my daughter. My daughter takes number one, and then right after that is podcasting. No, but for real, I had so much fun making the first episode about like battling family traditions, and so many people. That's such a lie. Like literally 10 people said I helped them, but that was enough for me to feel like I helped so many people. And I had something to share, and I just absolutely love that I had the opportunity to share it. And I was telling Rachel, I'm like, yo, when I create, like whether it be these hats that I'm wearing right now, if you're watching the video version, or a video with Laguna, or I just built a sandbox over the weekend for Laguna. No matter what I do, it's like I feel good, don't get me wrong, but I've never felt like I was creating the way I felt I was creating when I did the podcast. And that's also true for like when I write essays. I just love to like articulate and like convey messages through like probably longer format stuff. So like an essay or a podcast. Anyway, I'm gonna stop ranting about how cool podcasting is and just do the goddamn podcast. But yeah, we're doing values this week because I feel like I couldn't lead you in the direction of battling family traditions and like using values as like a cornerstone without then doing an episode on values. And values relate to parenting and also not to parenting at all. It just relates to like literally life. And so if you're not a parent and you think this isn't for you, like stay tuned because this is for you. And I promise you're going to gain value from this, whether you have a kid or not. But if you do have a kid, this is extra valuable. And if you plan on having kids, this is extra valuable. Speaking of values. So we'll start here. One, let's define values. Like let's go early on and say, okay, what is a value? Because a lot of people might confuse that with like a personality trait per se. Like, oh, my whole wardrobe's black. Like all I wear is black when I go out. Like, yep, I'm emo goth, like whatever, right? Like that's a value of mine. No, it's not a value. It's a personality trait or like a fashion idea. A value is something that's like unwaveringly what makes you yourself. And I promise still that may sound like it's your wardrobe, but it's still not. It's something that you believe in. That's like an ideology or a concept. You believe in it. And each and everything you do, you stay in line with it. And so that's why values, it's kind of hard to value two opposite things, right? So like I can't necessarily value being honest, and I can't value dying with the lie, right? I've heard that term before. You got to die with the lie. I can't value that and value honesty, right? And so it's very important that you choose what your values are. So like I might not go as far to say that honesty is a value of mine. And I'm not saying yes or no, this is Ricky B's values. I'm just saying, and maybe I wouldn't say that, and I would say loyalty is a value of mine, right? And the reason I say that is because, I don't know, am I allowed to say this on a podcast? But if Rachel, someone, if Rachel hurt someone, you know what I mean? Hurt someone, you know what I'm trying to say. She came home and she said, Ricky, I just someone, you know what I'm saying? I would be like, I got you. Like, what do we have to do? And I know that sounds like kind of crazy, but I value loyalty. And to my baby mama, whether we're together or not, whether we're good or not, whether we're bad or not, she's Laguna's mother, and I will give her my loyalty to an extent. And right, because imagine we're not together. Obviously, I wouldn't be in a relationship type of loyalty, but like loyalty is one of my values. Now, at what capacity you experience that value is dependent on the relationship. So my best friend Riker, my closest confidant Keenan, my best friend Taylor, those are like my three best friends. A kid that lived with me when I was in high school, his name's Nestor, love him to death. Like those are four people I'm undyingly loyal to. And it's to the point where like they could tell me something, and if I'm then later questioned about it, I'm not valuing honesty in that moment because I got their back at that degree. Now, that's based on the relationship. Same thing with my mom. Like my mom, we have a relationship where it's mother-son. And so because of that, she can do me wrong per se, right? And I'm still going to value loyalty with her and be loyal to her at the highest capacity, right? And trust me, I'm the first one to say, like, just because we're blood doesn't mean that we got to be close, like, by any means. There's tons of people in my family, like, blood or not. Like, I have a biological father. I've never even cared to talk to him because there's no value that aligns me with going back to him, right? Like, there's no value that's like, some people will say, oh, you know, family over everything. Like, it doesn't matter, work through the kinks. I'm not really with that. Like, that's not something I value. I think that if you treat someone like a piece of shit, if they're your son, mother, daughter, father, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, and they don't want that in their life, they have every right to walk away from it. And they might walk away from it because of values. And so let me keep painting this picture of values. Let me get back to values. I might value loyalty, right? And why values are important, especially as you go to raise a child, or why values are important as you like begin to. Last episode we talked about that feedback culture. The reason why this stuff is important is because if you don't truly believe in it, I'm gonna smell the bullshit on you. And your mother-in-law, right? So let's use a family setting. Your mother-in-law is gonna smell the bullshit on you. She's gonna know if you're bullshitting her and you don't like her, or she's gonna know if you dead ass value that. And remember, values can put you in a realm of like, oh, he's weird. Like, he's just weird. But as long as you stand on that business that you fucking believe in what you're telling them, they're not going to say that you're bullshitting or that you just dislike them. So I'm going to give you a direct, perfect example for this. Say your mother-in-law, she wants to kiss the baby on the lips, right? But it's like, for me, I have a daughter. Anybody that makes a comment about my daughter, like, oh, she's boy crazy, right? Like, if she was grabbing someone's face and, oh, she's boy crazy, it's a value. I'm like, don't sexualize my daughter, right? Like, I don't know necessarily the one-liner for that. Like, I guess self-respect or like body image or whatever it may. It's not body image. It's like respect for the body. I don't know what the value is, but I'm not going to stand for that bullshit, right? So imagine your mother-in-law is like, oh, I want to kiss the baby on the lips, or fuck that, I want my husband to kiss your daughter on her lips. Like, I don't see a problem with that. Well, if I believe in it and it's my value and I say, absolutely the fuck not, like, but I stand true to that at all times, right? So you're not going to catch my uncle. You're not going to catch my stepdad. You're not going to catch my brother kissing my baby on my lips, right? Because it's a value of mine. It's not going to happen. There's no need. You don't have to do it. Her mom can kiss her on the lips. I can kiss her. There you go. That's the list of people that can kiss her. If Laguna has a little sister or brother, they can kiss her. That's it. That's the list, right? And it's a value of mine that you're not going to touch my daughter in any way that I don't see fit, which is pretty much outside of like holding her. I don't know what the fuck you're doing, right? If I hold true to that all the time, my mother-in-law might look at me and say, he's just a weirdo when it comes to that shit. I don't know. He thinks everybody's out to get his daughter. Who knows what they're going to say about me. But what they're not going to say about me is like, oh, he just doesn't like me. He just doesn't like me. He just doesn't want to see affection. He doesn't. And they might say that, but at the end of the day, they know it's a value of mine. And that is why I'm not going to allow it. And the difference between a value and some shit you just picked up is people can smell the bullshit on you. And so values are really important to establish as you begin to like build a feedback culture, as you begin to like set up relationships for success, and as you begin to raise a child. Because when you teach people around you what the expectation is to be around you, right, and that's what you have to do. If you're not doing that in your relationships, you're going to see failure. You have to teach the people around you and in your little circle what is the expectation to be in this circle. And so let's think about it as a business, right? In order to get served at my business at, the Ricky B Express, you got to have shirts, shoes, right? Like no shirt, no service, right? In order to be in my circle, in order to be in my business, you got to have loyalty at this circle, right? Like, you might be my fucking boss at work. You don't owe me no fucking loyalty, and you're not in my business. You're just standing outside and I see you sometimes, right? Like, remember that every relationship requires a different amount of effort and output for your values. And so if you want to be in my business though, you got to be loyal. You got to be courageous, because I value people that are courageous. And I don't mean fucking people that are going to do a drive-by shooting with me. I mean people that are going to stand up for what's right and what's wrong, right? You got to be respectful. And I think when I look at respect, I don't look at it as like blind respect. I look at it as like, you got to be willing to call bullshit when you see it, even in me, because you respect me and you don't want me to uphold myself in a way that doesn't align with me, right? And you got to treat the women in my life with the utmost love. Like, that's a huge value of mine. If you're not loving on my mama, loving on Rachel, and loving on Laguna, like if you don't have pure good intentions for them, I'm gonna smell that shit. You got to get the fuck away from me. Straight up. You got to get the fuck away from me. I'm not doing it. And so I'm setting people up for success before they open the door, because I have these values and I believe in them, right? And I don't hit people with convenient bullshit. You know, another good analogy for the convenient bullshit part, and that's what I'm about to explain. It's like when you're playing a game and they tell you house rules, right? That's literally what it is. This is house rules. Values are house rules, right? So we're playing beer pong. You're shooting shot, right? I'm like, like when we start the game, I'm like, no elbows, right? I hope everybody gets this. I'm like, no elbows. They're like, all right, bet. Elbow can't cross the table, right? So elbow crosses the table. I'm going to call that shit out. Hey, elbows. Oh, for sure. That's no new rule. I know. True. But imagine mid-game, we're down to 1 cup each. I hit the cup. My partner hits the cup, right? You reply and you hit my cup. And I'm like, nah, game's over. Me and my partner hit. And you're like, yo, what about redemption? I hope this makes sense to everybody. I'm not a degenerate. But normally, when that person hits the cup back, it's redemption. They get to keep playing, right? Until it's like where I shoot my shot, I make it, and you shoot your shot and you miss it. That's how the game's got to end. But imagine on the fly at the end of the game, I'm like, nah, that's not what happened. They're going to be like, yo, what the fuck? Like, you didn't set me up for success. You didn't tell me that this was one of your house rules. So I'm playing default. And by default, this is how everybody plays. This is the rules of beer pong. That's what it is with values in your life. And you have to set the people up for success around you, or else you're going to look like you're making up house rules in the middle of the fucking game, and no one's going to want to play with you, right? Because you can smell misguided values on people, whether you know that's what you're smelling or not, right? And so like one thing you might see is like, have you ever met someone that's a straight up hypocrite, right? Like, wait, why would they talk? Why would they talk that talk? Why would they tell me they value loyalty? And then the first opportunity they get to do me wrong, they do me wrong, right? They tell me they value keeping a secret. My grandfather used to say, once more than one person knows, it's not a secret anymore. And so if I tell you, hey, you gotta keep this shit hush hush, bro. It's like, hey, I would never let your secret ride, bro. You got to keep this secret tight. And you look at me, you go, I got you, Ricky. You said it's tight. It's tight. If it's up, it's up. You want me to keep a secret? It's kept. 2 weeks later, you come tell me, hey, Ricky, I just cheated on my girlfriend last night. I call your girlfriend. Yo, what's good, sis? Yeah, he cheated on you. Yeah. Right? That's a hypocrite. And I'm not saying, go ahead, tell whoever you want, whatever you want. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you experienced a moment of hypocriticalness, right? And you might look at that person like, yo, what the fuck? You just told me the same secret potentially 2 weeks ago. You want me to hold it down for you, and you reply like that? That person does not value what you value. You might value keeping that secret. You might value that relationship and what it takes to be in that person's business. In order to be in that person's store, when they tell you this is between you and I, then it's between you and I. Well, that person's not in your store. They don't give a fuck what you have to require when they walk in and they're in your store. They're in your circle of life. They don't value what they need, what you need to be in their circle, to be in your own circle. And so when you misalign values with people, there's 1 to 2 things that are going to happen. One, you misalign values and you understand each other's values, and you have to respect that, right? So I value not littering, right? Like if you litter, that shit makes me angry. If you litter, you're a fucking weirdo, right? Let me say that on the pod. If you litter, that's strange, okay? Just because I think it's like a basic test. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you can't just throw away your goddamn trash, I'm going to think you got mess all over the place in your life, in and out of your life. I truly believe that. You might not give a fuck if you litter, right? You might say, I'm going to litter left and right. I don't care if I litter. Fuck the earth. Well, I'm dying. I'll die before the earth burns because of my litter, blah, blah, whatever. If you're in my car, you're not going to throw something out the window, because you got to understand that I value this, whether you do or not. And if you want to be inside of my store, inside of my car, inside of my circle, then you must value what I value for those moments at least. So while you're shopping in this store, you got to have shoes on. You got to have a shirt on. right? And so that's how you integrate values into your life. And that's how you prepare the people around you to be in your life. But if you don't have values, you need to get them. And the way that you need to get values is you need to identify what it is you truly believe in. So even as you enter a relationship, this is with a child or with a girl or whatever, like with a girl that may end in opening a relationship with a child, right? Before that girl walks in your life, before that guy walks in your life, before they, them, his, hers, whoever walks in your life, non-binary walks in your life, you need to set them up for success to be in your life. And one of those ways you could do it is sharing your values, right? And so Rachel knows that I value loyalty, right? Like it's ride or die. I have a saying, and I actually got this from my mom's husband, so shout out Philip. But this is a saying: wrong or right, back to back. I'm sorry, fuck or fight, wrong or right, back to back, through thick and thin. That's a little poem value for my relationship. And I tell Rachel, I say, fuck or fight, wrong or right, back to back, through thick and thin. And the moment that we bypass that value, because there's only a few ways to bypass that value, right? Because it's fuck or fight, wrong or right. So if you're wrong, now I'm not going to ride with you. I just bypass the value. Back to back. I don't want to say back to back if you make a mistake. I'm not with that. Through thick and thin. Hey, when shit gets thick, I'm taking the high road. I don't want to be around you when you're doing shit like that. The moment we bypass that saying of values, we just bypass the whole relationship, because values aren't to set you up for when everything's perfect. Values are to set you up when you need to evaluate. It's funny that value is in the word evaluate, because you literally need values when it's time to evaluate. So let me evaluate you when you're in my life, and let me see if you align with my values, right? And so when the going gets tough, are you going to stand by me because you share values with me, or because you value that I need that? When Rachel heard fuck or fight, wrong or right, back to back, through thick and thin, she's like, oh shit, he's looking for that ride or die type of love. And so when it was time to have a kid, she's like, fuck, he's a ride or die. Those are some values. And the way that I've shown up for my daughter is that. We'll take the first line out for my daughter. It's wrong or right, back to back, through thick and thin, right? And no matter what, I've shown up for her. Not that my daughter could ever do anything wrong. She's fucking 7 months old and she'll never do anything wrong. She's a princess and she's perfect. But no matter what, I'm going to ride for my daughter because I value loyalty. I value having one person you can trust always. I value having a safe place in this world where you literally are getting fucked over left and right by quite literally everybody you fucking know. Everybody you fucking know. Even your partner. Even Rachel and I will let each other down. We will. It's just the truth. I have let Rachel down. And speaking of people with values, Rachel values forgiveness. She does. Rachel values forgiving people that matter to her. And Rachel's the first one that's going to tell you, so I hope she doesn't get mad at me. She's the first one to tell you she's over forgiving to some, but she's let people back in her life that, why the fuck, right? And she's ready to forgive. And that's literally what makes her beautiful in so many ways to me. But at the same time, once she starts to align this value, it'll take time. Like once she starts to hit the left, hit the right bumper, back and forth until she centers this value, it's going to come in handy, because people that are forgiving and that don't lead with hate in their heart, they have great relationships, because people are going to let you down. Like I said, me and her are going to let each other down. And the fact that she's chose to forgive me at times when she could have not, because she values forgiveness, has led us to the point that we are now with my 7-month-old daughter, who I love more than anything, who has been a blessing to both of our lives, has led us to this new place we live in Arizona, has led us to beautiful, beautiful moments that we've got to do. Next week for Mother's Day, we're going to be at a fucking pool house that we rented all by ourselves alone. Like those, because we chose to get over humps when we needed to, because she values forgiveness, it's allowed us to make it farther. So that's a way a value can skyrocket you. Whether she's over forgiven or not for other people, she's forgiven just the right amount for me, to be specific. Like Rachel, she could forgive me a little bit more, actually. No, I'm just kidding. But those moments have inspired me too to open forgiveness to one of my values. I was not forgiving. My values were not forgiving. My values were literally, I mean, you heard it. Fuck or fight, wrong or right, back to back through thick and thin. So like, although that may sound forgiving because it means wrong or right, we got each other's backs. Really what it is, it's like undying fucking loyalty. Okay. Like that's more of the value than it is forgiveness. And it's like, hey, no matter what, you got to stand by me. And you gotta look at all decisions as like, yeah, it's okay that he did that. And that's kind of hard because you harbor hate in your heart if you don't value forgiveness at the same time. And so Rachel's chose to take a new approach on a lot of the things that I believe in and just add forgiveness, empathy, love into them. And that's what a woman's supposed to do. So shout out to women. But it's very important as you embark on this journey of, we'll talk parenthood for a little bit. And if you're not a parent, just correlate it to yourself. That you have these things found out about yourself prior to, because when you go to raise your child, you're going to be real fucking convoluted. If, I cuss in front of my daughter. And although I value a yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir type of society. And I wouldn't say society, but like, when someone helps me out at the store, I say, yes, ma'am. I say, thank you. I'm polite. I say, excuse me, ma'am. I hold the door and I say, of course, ma'am. You know what I mean? Like, because I value respect. My mom raised me that way. Although I value that society, right? I don't necessarily think it's the worst thing in the world if my daughters heard me say fuck. And so because of that, and I'm not trying to downplay that. Like, I don't want my fucking 11-year-old daughter saying, fuck you, or like, damn, daddy, that's bullshit. Like, I don't want that. And I'm not telling you I want that. I'm simply telling you that on the list of things I give a fuck about, my daughter helping someone in need is more important to me than potentially how much she cusses in a day. And so what I mean by you're going to sound convoluted or you're going to get found out is that if you're creating shit on the fly and it's not really a value of yours, that's the shit you're going to let slip first. And your childhood, your child's childhood, your relationship with your friends, whatever, is going to begin to get a little like, I don't really fucking know. He's kind of bipolar. Like sometimes you're mad about that and sometimes you're not. And I think there's a time and place to be lenient. You know what I mean? And I think a lot about, I want Laguna to know she can always call me because I value trust, right? Like I trust you. And so one thing I think about a lot when it comes to my daughter is fuck, like this is the classic saying, hey, never get in the car with a drunk driver. Call me. Call me if you need me to pick you up, right? I would value like that. It's a value of mine that you don't get in that fucking car, right? And it's a value of mine that you trust me to call me. So if they call you, you say, you did what? Are you fucking, you were about to get in a car with the are you fucking stupid? You were getting in a car with a drunk driver? Oh my God, Laguna, I'm on my way to get you. And you're never going out again. You're never going to leave this fucking house again. How dare, right? Yeah, I'm aligning with the value that I don't want you to get in the car. But do you think that Laguna's ever going to fucking call me again? Right? And then next time she calls me, I say, imagine the first time I'm like, yeah, no, hey, I'm on my way. Like we're definitely going to talk about this, but let's just get you home safe tonight. And then the next time she calls me, because we built that trust now, she's like, damn, my dad really slid for me. He told me not to ever do this again. And they're kids, so they're going to fucking do it again, right? Because as I'm 25 and I still do shit to my mom that she begs me not to do, and I've done it. I can't help it. I'm fucking dumb. Okay. And so when she does it again, I say, oh my God, I let you slide the first time, but you're fucked. You think she's ever going to call me again? Now, I hope there's not a third time. God help me. But do you think, right? And so you have to have enough emotional regulation in order to combat what you're facing. But in order to have that emotional regulation, you got to know where you stand. Or else that mismatched attitude you have to the same situation is going to begin to kind of put holes in your argument. Like, what do you really give a shit about? What do you really value? What do you really value, Dad? Do you value my happiness and my safety? Or do you value teaching me a lesson when I do something you told me not to do? What do you value? And so as you begin to build this relationship with yourself, find those values. And a way that you can find those values is, there's always the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated, and think about what's important to you. And then look back on your life and think about times. There's a saying I like, I let some shit slide when I really should have slid. And what it means is like when you slide on someone, like you get your lick back, right? I'm talking in young street terms, so I'm sorry if this is going over your head. Let me make it more simplified. What it means to slide on someone is like if you oh God, I'm trying to use like a family friendly saying, but imagine someone throws their drink in my face at a bar and I don't get the chance to confront them. And I find out what bar they're at next weekend and I slide on them. I show up and I get my revenge, right? I slide on them. Now there's letting shit slide, right? I slid on that person. But then there's letting shit slide. Like, hey, you cheated on me. It's all good. No repercussions. Hey, I know you fucked that guy in our bed, but it's all good. Don't worry about it. You're straight. Now I got this pit of anger. I fucking hate you secretly because what you did to me. And I'm going to bring it up every fight because I hate you now. Right. And so you let some shit slide when you really should have slid. And I'm not telling you that you should have went and fucked someone back. That's a terrible advice. But I am saying that maybe you should have slid and been like, oh, no, we're not going for that, sir. You fuck someone in our bed. It's over. Goodbye. Right. And so those moments can happen to you if you don't find out what you value. And a way to retrospectively look back is look back at times in your life when you let some shit slide when you really should have slid. And they probably went against your values and you didn't know how to confront them because maybe you don't value confrontation. Ricky values confrontation. And you know what else I value? Not confrontation's not a value. I'm bullshitting. But you know what else I value is feedback culture, right? And we spoke about that on my last episode. And I value feedback culture. And I'll let a motherfucker know, hey, I just want to build that feedback culture with you through a little bit of confrontation right now because you got me fucked up. Maybe you just heard me drinking my coffee. I'm so sorry. But to close off, I really want to make it clear to you that values are something that are different than personality traits, that are different than preference, that are different than house rules on the fly, right? Or like made up rules in the middle of the game. That's not it. Your job may value you being on time. And so if you're late 3 times, you get fired. But they may ask that on Mondays, we all dress in a suit. Like, hey, it'd be nice if we all matched in like some nice business attire on Mondays and we could still do casual Friday. And 3 Mondays in a row, you fucking show up in casual Friday clothes. Your boss might be like, yo, like I thought we talked about this, but you're not fired because you were on time every day. You didn't directly cross a line of value. And so find these values within yourself. Look back retrospectively on your life. Think about the way that you treat people because that will kind of show your values too, how you treat people. And if you're treating people all types of fucked up ways, then you lack value. You lack fucking values. And that's why you're a shitty person because you lack values, because you don't believe in anything, because you're obsessed with what's convenient in the moment. Maybe you're narcissistic and you'll cross any line needed to be crossed to take the emotion, to take the spotlight on yourself, to regain focus, right? Those people don't have values. They don't care who they're fucking backstabbing, who they're crossing, what line they're crossing, who they're lying about, who they're lying to, because they lack values. And so it's important that you identify these within yourself. And I think any like Fortune 500 company you can think of, any $1 billion company, they probably have company values, and who knows how much they actually fucking believe in them, right? Our politicians value the Constitution, and they probably walk against that shit every day. And so it's not just about identifying values; it's about walking the walk and talking the talk. And there's times that I have went against my values, and I can feel it. I can feel it. I'm a fucking poser. There's times that I've got maybe in a fight with Rachel, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is the end of our relationship. And I did not value fuck or fight, wrong or right, back to back to thick and thin. I didn't value that shit. And there's tons of times that I'm sure I'm going to go against my values with Laguna, and God, I hope I never do. But I might tell her, hey, call me instead of getting in that car. And I might be like, are you fucking kidding me, dog? I thought you weren't even drinking. You told me you weren't going to drink. Like, you're fucking 19. Why are you drinking? Like, whatever. Right. I might go against my value, and she might be like, I'm going to call mom next time because dad was tripping. And so what's important though is these values are going to realign you, right? Because it's a sounding board, a foundation that you can always fall back on. And it's okay that as you grow, your values might change and they might grow. Don't beat yourself up if at one point in your life you valued your partner's happiness, so you had an open relationship, and now you value monogamy and trust and one genitalia to just one genitalia. and not sharing, right? You might change your values, and it's okay to grow into new values. Just make sure the people that are in your circle, that are shopping at your store, know what the expectation is, and that you actually believe in it. Because remember what I said at the beginning, I will sniff out some poser ass energy. Like if you just dislike me, I will sniff out some poser ass energy. And a great example of this really, really quick is, say your company's value is everybody's going to be on time or you'll get fired. And fucking Sarah Joe is late 8 days in a row, but she is your boss's favorite worker. And you're like, okay, what the fuck? Like Sarah Joe's late 8 days in a row. She doesn't even get a visit to the office. And I was late once last week and they wrote me up. You can sniff out that poser ass energy from your boss. Like you don't fucking value tardiness. You're just doing what's convenient to you. And so don't be that type of person. Know that the things that you do value are valuable. And know that you need values to evaluate. And yeah, if I leave you with anything, I want to leave you guys with that. And this shit is so fun. And I love podcasting and I love talking to y'all. Please, 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 if you listen to my podcast and you follow me on Instagram, DM me what you think, DM me what you need, DM me what you want to hear. And another question I have, if you made it this far, and I hope you did, I want to drop every Saturday. Is that a terrible fucking day? Should I drop every Wednesday or Tuesday? You tell me. But I want to thank you. I want to tell you that I love you. Follow me on Instagram at 2BRicky. Follow me on TikTok at 2BDaddy. And yeah, I just never want to stop making these, and I'm never going to stop. So shout out, go get you some values. DM me your values. DM me, say, Ricky, is it a good idea to value hoodies in the summer? Because they're fly as fuck. And I'm going to say that's not a value, Jack. But I see where you're going with this. Okay. All right. Love you. Bye.